Every election season, Democrats promise relief, fairness, and a better future for working families. Yet their policies consistently deliver the opposite: skyrocketing taxes, suffocating regulations, soaring inflation, and an economy rigged against the very people they claim to protect. Meanwhile, Republicans are painted as the party of the rich, but history tells a different story, one where conservative policies create jobs, lower costs, and put power back in the hands of middle-class Americans. So the real question is this: are Democrats actually fighting for the middle class, or are they keeping them dependent, trapped, and powerless by design? The middle class is the backbone of America. It's the engine that drives the economy, the workforce that powers industry, and the heart of communities across the nation. Yet time and time again, policies that claim to help middle-class families end up doing the opposite. Democrats push higher taxes, government expansion, and endless regulations in the name of fairness. But these policies slow down job creation, shrink paychecks, and make life more expensive. Republican policies, on the other hand, prioritize lower taxes, economic growth, deregulation, and personal freedom, giving middle-class Americans more control over their own success. A perfect example of this contrast is taxation. Democrats insist that raising taxes on the wealthy and big corporations will somehow benefit the middle class. It's a nice-sounding idea, but in practice, it backfires every time. Businesses don't absorb tax hikes, they pass them down. When taxes go up, wages stagnate, jobs disappear, and the cost of everyday goods skyrockets. We saw this under Barack Obama, when tax increases on businesses led to slowed economic growth and fewer full-time jobs. Contrast that with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, a Republican-led initiative that lowered tax rates for individuals and businesses. Middle-class Americans saw bigger paychecks, more job opportunities, and a stronger economy. In fact, median household income increased by over $5,000 in the first 2 years after those tax cuts, far outpacing wage growth under Obama's tax policies. Democrats claim that government spending makes up for higher taxes, but that argument falls apart when you follow the money. Every dollar the government spends comes from taxpayers. If they don't collect it in taxes today, they borrow it, leaving future generations to foot the bill. Under Joe Biden, reckless spending has driven the national debt past $34 trillion, leading to massive inflation that eats away at the middle class's purchasing power. Printing money to cover spending has caused everything from groceries to gas to housing to become unaffordable for average Americans. The result? Wages can't keep up, savings lose value, and middle-class families are forced to stretch their paychecks thinner and thinner. Republican policies focus on fiscal responsibility, controlling spending, reducing waste, and preventing inflation from spiraling out of control. Under Donald Trump, inflation averaged 1.9% per year. Under Biden, it peaked at over 9%, a direct result of out-of-control government spending. Regulation is another area where Democrats claim to help, but end up doing the opposite. Their belief in government micromanaging industries results in excessive red tape that hurts businesses, especially small ones. Democrats argue that more regulation protects workers, but in reality, it kills jobs by making it too expensive for businesses to expand or even stay open. Take California as an example, a state where aggressive regulations have driven businesses out in record numbers, forcing them to relocate to states with more pro-business environments like Texas and Florida. The result? Fewer job opportunities for middle-class workers. Republican policies emphasize cutting unnecessary regulations that strangle businesses, allowing for economic expansion and wage growth. Under the Trump administration, over 1,500 unnecessary regulations were eliminated, unleashing business growth and giving workers more opportunities. Energy policy is another clear example of how Democrat policies punish the middle class. Democrats push radical green energy mandates that restrict domestic oil and gas production, making America dependent on foreign energy sources. This has driven up gas prices, utility bills, and overall costs for American families. Biden's decision to shut down the Keystone XL pipeline, ban new oil leases, and push for electric vehicle mandates has done nothing but raise energy costs for the middle class. Under Trump's policies of energy independence, gas prices averaged $2.39 per gallon. Under Biden, they soared past $5 per gallon in some areas. When energy costs rise, so does the cost of everything else, hurting middle-class families the most. Republican policies prioritize energy independence, ensuring affordable fuel, electricity, and heating for American households, while creating thousands of high-paying energy sector jobs. Education is another battleground where Democrat policies leave middle-class families behind. Instead of focusing on student success, they prioritize teachers' unions and government control of education. Their refusal to allow school choice forces middle-class families to send their children to failing public schools simply because of their zip code. Republican policies champion school choice, allowing families to use their tax dollars for charter schools, private schools, or homeschooling, if their local public school isn't meeting their child's needs. States like Florida and Arizona have seen higher test scores and better graduation rates after implementing school choice programs, giving middle-class families more control over their children's future, instead of trapping them in failing schools. Democrats often claim that raising the minimum wage is the key to helping middle-class workers, but once again, reality proves them wrong. When businesses are forced to pay artificially high wages that don't match productivity levels, they cut hours, lay off workers, or replace employees with automation. That's why in cities like Seattle, where the minimum wage was raised to $15 per hour, job losses increased, and workers ended up making less overall because employers reduced their hours. Republicans understand that the best way to increase wages is to grow the economy, not force businesses to pay more than they can afford. A booming job market gives workers leverage to negotiate higher wages naturally, as seen after the 2017 tax cuts, when companies like Walmart, Home Depot, and Apple raised wages and gave bonuses without being forced to by the government. Healthcare is another issue where Democrat policies sound good but fail in execution. Obamacare was promised as a way to lower costs, but it ended up doubling premiums and reducing competition, forcing middle-class families into expensive plans with fewer choices. Republican policies aim to increase competition and price transparency, allowing individuals to choose plans that work for them instead of being stuck in bloated government programs. Expanding health savings accounts, allowing insurance to be sold across state lines, and reducing bureaucratic costs would lower healthcare expenses without forcing middle-class families to pay for one-size-fits-all government plans. Finally, there's crime, a major issue that directly impacts middle-class families. Democrat-led cities have experimented with defunding the police, bail reform that releases criminals back onto the streets, and soft-on-crime policies that put law-abiding citizens at risk. The result? Skyrocketing crime rates that make middle-class neighborhoods unsafe. In cities like San Francisco, New York, and Chicago, where Democrat leadership dominates, violent crime has surged while businesses have shut down due to rampant theft and lawlessness. Republican policies prioritize law and order, ensuring that criminals face consequences and communities remain safe. Families should not have to fear for their safety in their own neighborhoods, and businesses should not have to close because politicians refuse to enforce the law. At the core of this debate is a simple truth. Democrats believe in big government solutions, while Republicans believe in individual empowerment. History has shown that government dependency weakens the middle class, while economic freedom strengthens it. The middle class doesn't need more government handouts, higher taxes, and inflation. They need job opportunities, lower costs, and a government that respects their right to succeed on their own terms. Republican policies create an environment where the middle class can thrive, not just survive. The choice is clear. If Americans want a future where they keep more of their hard-earned money, have access to better job opportunities, enjoy safe communities, and control their own destiny, then Republican policies are the only way forward. The middle class has carried this country for generations. It's time to give them a government that works for them, not against them.
Thanks for watching. If you have questions about how the U.S. government works, drop them in the comments. We might cover them in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe and check out these other videos.